So when it comes to attractive women, they get a lot of issues coming their way. And other people may not see it because they're just like, you're attractive, you get things handed to you, and all this other stuff. So they may not see attractive women's problems from their standpoint. However, from the video that I did last week, I was going to make another video talking about more issues. But I can sit up here and talk about issues all day long. It is not going to solve anything. So I'd rather just give solutions to the problems that attractive women go through. Because no matter what you say, no matter how much you defend yourself, you know, people don't give a shit. And I'm not the type to just talk about problems all day long. So if you are a woman who faces these type of issues of being attractive and people see you in a different light, or if you're just a guy just trying to figure out women and you're just watching these type of videos because you nosy, it's all good. This video might just be helpful. Let me get this out the way. I am going to talk about, now I am not a professional couple relationship expert, so I'm not a professional in this lane, but I'm just giving some advice that I use and I think it might help the next woman out. And I want to talk about men for a little bit. Now, when it comes to being a woman who's attractive, I spoke about this just a teeny bit in my last video, like towards the end. So I'm just gonna like add on more to what I was saying. So when it comes to women being attractive, you get men size you up all the time. And in my case, is not always the short guys, right? It's usually tall dudes that size me up, like the tall, buff dudes. And you know, I may get some short guys here and there, but I always notice it with the tall dudes. But besides the point, when you're a attractive woman, you get women size you up, men size you up. In particular for this case, you get a lot of guys size you up, and they're just trying to show that they're not afraid of your beauty and this, that, and the third, whatever. So when it comes to dating, you want to be careful of who you're dating. You don't want to date a guy who constantly sizes you up and feels insecure in the relationship. You do not want a insecure dude. No, that's never good. Because one, like I keep saying, they size you up. Two, they want the world to know why instead of how did he get with her, they want people to see it as how did she get with him. He wants to see more of the prize in the relationship. And I hate that whole I'm the prize, no, I'm the prize. Like, is that's the relationship is bound to fail when you jump in thinking that you're the prize. So you want a guy who is secure with himself. And me in particular, I like dudes who are not flashy and they're secure and they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not flashy, secure, and still ambitious. The last video I spoke about looking for a guy, like he don't gotta be the most good looking or whatever. There's nothing wrong with dating an average guy. Now anybody could take average and flip it however they please, but when I mean by average, I don't mean like just date a guy who has nothing going on with him, lazy, whatever that you describe to be like super average. I like dating guys who are like very ambitious, but they're not fucking flashy. Dating guys who are flashy, that causes attention, and that's what they like. That's why they're flashy. They want attention. Now, if you're a woman who gets a lot of attention and you're dating a guy who likes attention, that's double the trouble. So, to save yourself a peace of mind, me, I would advise to go after someone when looking for a dude. Look for those key parts. If he's too flashy, if he cares what people think of himself, oh, and if he has a problem with other guys staring at you, because you can't help who stares at you. That if he's like super jealous of that, it ain't gonna work. Nope, nope. The second part I wanted to talk about is knowing who you are as a person and how you come off to people. Back then, me, I don't really care about how I look. I like being to myself. Like I'm very I'm very much a introvert, but I learned to get myself out of my comfort zone because you ain't gonna get nowhere being an introvert. So back then, like still a bit today, but more so back then, I was more of an introvert. And people thought that I was too good to like hang out with some of them. I know this for a fact because one of my friends told me. So she was like, yeah, it's just that back then you came off very mysterious and you didn't want to talk to nobody and whatever. And I was pissed that she told me this real late. Like she could have told me this like when it was happening because I was so confused why certain people were treating me like a certain way. And that's only because I came off very I guess mysterious and she didn't want to talk to nobody. First of all, a lot of the shit that they was doing, I was not with it. So no. And another reason why I was just an introvert. I was shy. So, I see a lot of videos getting put out of how to be mysterious, how to be like this dark mysterious woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, if you're gonna try to put on that persona, just be prepared for people looking at you like you think you're better, or I don't know, there's something wrong with you. People start treating you a certain way because they think that you don't think that your ass stink. But you're just, I guess, trying to give off this mysterious illusion. And, it works for some folks. I think that works better if you're like a celebrity. But if you're just a regular person and you're just a shy introvert, and you see, and plus you're attractive too, and you see that people are treating you a certain way, and you're just trying to figure out why is the case, just be aware of maybe it's because I'm an introvert and shy, and people don't even, because people are not in your head, they don't know what you're thinking, they don't know how you're feeling, so people are going to think a certain way about you. And when you realize some of the reasons, you have more of an awareness, you have more sympathy. You're not walking around super upset of why the world is treating you a certain way. You have a understanding now. And me, I don't give a fuck. So so you shouldn't either, unless you really like to be around people. Then that will help you open up more and be like, hey, let me be more open and learn how to not be an introvert. If you're the type that likes to be around people, and that's good to have, because nowadays people find it, they popularize being an introvert, and I don't know why, but when I see people that actually like to be around other people, like the girl that I spoke about in my last video, it's very refreshing to see. So going back to what I was saying, just know who you are as a people and how you, my bad, just know who you are as a person, and just know who you are as a person and how you come off to people. And that would help you out with a few things and clarify why people treat you a certain way. So you have an awareness. That's just all. Just having a awareness. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Now, I have a story to tell, and it's about to get a little bit dark, but just bear with me. I have a point to make, and it's gonna go in line with putting yourself in other people's shoes. So back then, growing up, I gave off this look, and I also was developing a shape, like the whole ass, small waist, all that. So people assume that I just used to be fucking around because how I looked. But I was always either in the park somewhere or just chilling with my cousins or, in the house writing poetry. I write a lot of poetry and I draw a lot. That's all I did. But people always assume that I was just, out fucking around. I guess that's what you do when you're like very curvy. So, and I used to go to a high school in Manhattan. So I had to cross boroughs to go to Manhattan. It's a big city. A lot of things are going on out there. So my mom, she used to be very nervous for me. And she used to say things to scare me. And, they were pretty cruel things. But I always just like, I don't know why people think that I'm doing this and that when I'm always in the house or, whatever. But people don't know that because they're not in my shoes. I'm not in their shoes. I don't know why they're assuming this stuff. But so at that point, I used to think like, not that the whole world is against me, but I was just like, what the fuck is everybody's problem? So I remember one New Year's Eve, all my friends were like, let's go see the ball drop on 42nd Street. And I really wanted to go. And I had asked my mother, and she was like, you ain't going out there. And I was upset. And I was upset more because my siblings were able to go out and hang out with their friends, but I was stuck in the house. Everybody went out and I was stuck. And that was another issue growing up. Like, my mother's a good mother, but she did things to like, she really like sheltered me. And yeah, so I remember this night, these people that I know, she knows, they were hitting me up and they was like, come out and spend New Year's Eve with us. And I was begging my mother to let me go. And she finally gave me the okay so because she knew them and all that stuff. And, when I went out, I was so upset. And I don't drink. I barely drink. Once in a blue, and it's something really light, nothing crazy. If anything, I don't even know when's the last time I drunk. So I'm not a drinker. But that particular night, I drunk because I was so upset. Like, long story short, there's like so much to the story, but it was just like a tipping point where I just kept drinking because I just didn't know why my mother was treating me a certain way. Why was these people treating me a certain way? Why I'm always getting stuck in the house and my other siblings get to go out freely. Like, I don't understand. So this place that I was in, it's a big ass house. And not to go into too many details about this house because this will turn into a whole other story. But it was really big because it was once a place where they held like people who are considered crazy. The word is not coming to my head. But say like if you went in this house and you was like taking down wallpaper because they repainted this place, and when they took down the wallpaper, there were like these dried up blood carvings of people that scraped the walls with the wordings like get me out of here, help me, like dried up blood just all over the place. So this house was huge, it that's what it was back then. And I'm saying this goes in line with the story. So, I was always told to be careful when you go into this house. Don't go out into the hallway, the staircase, or whatever at night. Make sure you're always with someone. Because there was a lot of speculation going on, like this place is haunted, right? So, I used to go to this house all the time. Like every time I went though, when I was a kid with my family, it was always a lot of people there. So I never really I was never there at night, and it was always a gathering, so you wouldn't really see much going on. So, but this particular night that I went, I remember like after the ball dropped or whatever, and these were people that I trusted. So after the ball dropped, I was ready to go to sleep. I was super drunk. I don't remember too much, but I remember that I needed to get something out of the car, which was way downstairs into the garage. And I was not walking down these steep ass steps, this long hallway, multiple rooms. I'm not going out there, like out into this house by myself walking around. And I'm like super drunk. So I asked a particular person to like help me downstairs. I never made it to the garage because I don't even know if you could say this on YouTube, but the R word happened to me. And I don't remember much, but afterwards, like the next day or something like that, I remember the people that I was with, they spent like 2 hours trying to look for me because they didn't know where I was. I was like in a random room somewhere. And the whole night was, I don't even want to go into details, but it was a crazy night. And that house is fucking spooky on top of that. So right afterwards, when I got back home, I immediately told my mother, and she was devastated, of course, crying, went to the cops, went to the lawyers, all this stuff. And I was out of school for like a good month and a half. It was something like that. I lost like 20 pounds, like instantly. And they had gave me, like the hospital, they had gave me these pills to make sure I don't have like any like STD or HIV or all this other stuff. And these pills that they gave me, I had to take it for like 30 days. I didn't even make it through the 30 days because I kept throwing up like every 10 to 15 minutes. It was like green stuff that I was just throwing up. And my mom, she kept watching me walk around the house. I looked like the girl from, what is it called? The Ring. I don't know, one of those horror movies with the girl with the long black hair in front of her face, dressed in white, just looking like very creepy. I was walking around the house like that. And when she looked at the effects from the pill bottle, one of it was, suicidal effects. And my mom was like, oh, hell no. She had to rush back to the hospital. All this other stuff. Right? And I guess that was the tipping point also of how I became suicidal. And that whole time, I just remember me being like, I always used to go by lakes. I always used to like try to figure out how to take myself out. And I remember when I went back to school, and one of my fashion teachers, this was for her class, it was like we did a lot of sewing. So I know how to sew and stuff. And she pulled me out into the hallway and she asked me, like, what happened to me? Why I've been going for so long? And as I was telling her, I was starting to cry. And after I told her, she looked at me with a cold face. And this was an old bitch, okay? I felt like she had something against young girls because maybe she didn't like live her life when she was younger. She was very cold. And I remember she looked at me and she was like, I don't care. You're failing my class. Get back inside. When she said that, my skin, like everything in my nerves, is just like, I felt like I lost feelings. Like I became numb to everything. Like it's still hard for me to cry. Like it's really hard for somebody to make me cry. Like I only cried maybe twice in the past maybe 15 or so years, and that's only because of two deaths in the family that really affected me. But other than that, I'm just like super numb to like a lot of things. And I'm explaining this because with all of that happening to me, I don't tell people my problems. I don't like feeling like the victim. So I keep things to myself, or like if anything, I open up to somebody who's like really close to me. Um, but I don't tell people my problems. So people don't know what I go through. And you know, after getting like going back to school and finishing up and continue to live my life and all that stuff, did I think anybody would know what I went through, especially if I'm not telling nobody? No. So did that change anything? No. I still had people like sizing me up. I still had girls giving me like nasty stares. I still had, guys following me and stuff like that. Like nothing changed. So at first, I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Why is all this still happening to me? Like I went through so much. Da 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 da. But no one knows what the fuck you're going through. So what helped me later on is that I realized that, and I realized too that I don't know what everybody else is going through. So people, throwing stones at women who are attractive, usually it's because they're getting stones thrown at themselves. And their life sucks. So they want to make your life suck. Like they see this attractive woman and they think that you got it easy and all this other stuff. So they're going to say things, they're going to do things. They're just mad, they're just jealous. No one is not in your shoes and you're not in their shoes. They don't even care to put themselves in your shoes. It's your job to be better, do better, and understand why people move a certain way. This way, it will help you navigate society better and get you out of a whole lot of shit. Basically, life is not fair. And I feel like as women, like if you're a woman who's attractive, if I was you, I would take the good with the bad. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people treating you a certain way. Um, and that's okay. You just gotta know how to like deal with it, handle it, like protect yourself and all that stuff. But also, don't feel bad if people are doing things for you or certain things are getting handed to you. Like take the good with it. You might as well. Like if other people were in your shoes, they would do it too. And don't go all like dark with it. Like, use your power for good. But don't feel bad because I get these opportunities because of the way I look. You know yourself that you work very hard to get where you're at. So you should not care what anybody has to say. Period. To wrap this up, one, watch the men who you are dating, the men that you are choosing. Two, know who you are as a person and how you come off to people. And three, put yourself in other people's shoes. And the bonus one, life is not fair, take the good with the bad. And just applying those four will help you navigate society so much better because You know, like I said, I could sit up here and talk about the issues that attractive women face all day long. That is not going to solve shit. People are still going to think a certain way about women. There's still going to be people posting videos of pretty women having so much privilege and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, you just got to just take the good with the bad and just navigate society, like be aware and continue to learn and grow, because a lot of people, they don't work on themselves, and that's why like 99% of people remain the same. And if you notice, as you continue on working on yourself, you see, you know, your peers all remaining the same, and the last thing you want is to be like everybody else. So you know, take the good with the bad and be aware, be conscious, don't give a fuck. um you know, and that's like the best advice that I can give. So yeah.